Hello everyone, welcome back to Lawson's Planes, Trains and Fishing. Today I'm going to be talking to you and explaining the history and the evolution of Steamrail Victoria. It's going to be about its fleets, information, and all the history, so I hope you enjoy. So, the first locomotive that Steamrail Victoria had was the Y locomotive, the Y class, which came into service in 1885, and they were originally made for Victorian Railways, and then in about, can't really remember when, but in the mid-80s, 1980s, Steamrail Victoria came in after Victorian Railways shut down, and Steamrail Victoria took over. So before Steamrail Victoria got to own these Y-class locomotives, Victorian Railways had them since the late 1800s. So yeah, there's only 3 Y-classes preserved with Steamrail Victoria. There's the main one, which only operates at the moment, is Y1112, as you can see right now. And yeah, they're the oldest locomotive coming back, and they came into operation and came into service in 1885. So let's go on to the next one. The next locomotive that came into service originally for Victorian Railways and went to Steamrail Victoria was the D3 locomotive, steam locomotive, that came into service, and it was built in 1902. Originally built for Victorian Railways, and then in the mid-1970s, they handed the steam trains over from Victorian Railways to Steamrail Victoria. They used to be classified as the DD class, but since then they reclassified them as the D1 class and the D2 class, but we only now have the D3 class. We only have 1 locomotive still in service, the D3639. It used to be called D3658, and a few more D3 classes are preserved, but they've been scrapped a bit in the workshops at Ballarat and Newport to be used as parts of D3639. And yeah, they're very similar to the K classes. So let's go on to the next one. So the next locomotive that we're going to talk about is the A2 class. The A2 class locomotives came into service, and they were built from the early 1900s to 1907. They came into service just after all of them have been built. And the first one came into service in 1907. And they were originally made for Victorian Railways. Same as the other steam trains. They, in the 1970s, I think, they got transferred into Steamrail Victoria. One really good thing I like about them is that they're literally exactly the same as the K-class locomotives, but that big hump thing on the top of the train is more flat than the K classes, while the K classes humps on the end are more curved, and there's only 1 A2 class which is operating at the moment, A2986, and these are also one of my favourite trains. So let's go on to the next one. So the next locomotives that came into service were the K-class locomotives. There were a whole lot of different K-class locomotives, including K100, K190, K183, K153, and K140, and also K163. Those are the only K-class locomotives still in service today, and they're probably my favourite locomotives. but K163 is not in Steamrail Victoria, or but it's now on the Mornington Railway. Last locomotives that came into service for Steamrail Victoria were originally for Victorian Railway, but they are for now in Steamrail Victoria. They are the R-class locomotives. There's a whole lot of more R-class locomotives, but they're not in service anymore, scrapped and stuff. But the only ones left in service are R707, R700, R766, R711, and R761. At the same time of when the R-class locomotives were getting built, there was another locomotive, which is very similar to the R-class locomotive. Also with the J-class. The J-classes are really similar to the R-classes, but I will explain that in the Victorian Railways video of this. It's called the H-class. It was the biggest steam locomotive in the Southern Hemisphere, and operated from around the 1940s to the 1960s. And there were a couple that were built, but there's only one now preserved at the Newport Railway Museum, and it's under Steamrail Victoria, and it's called H220. Its nickname is also Heavy Harry, because it's very heavy. In the around 1960s, 1970s, after most of the steam trains were retired, Victorian Railways got some T-class locomotives. They are now under Steamrail Victoria, and they're really nice locomotives, and also, yeah, they're the only they were, I think, the first diesel locomotives for Steamrail Victoria. The last locomotives I'm going to talk about today for Steamrail Victoria are the Y-class locomotives. They were originally made around the same time as the T-class locomotives. They're the second diesel locomotives that Steamrail Victoria operate. And they also operate a couple more locomotives from other brands like Feline and Victorian Railways and Freight Railways and Freight brands, companies, and these Y-class locomotives are now for Steamrail Victoria, which is really good. They used to be for Victorian Railways, and yeah, I like them a lot. So if you have any comments, please can you comment down below. I'm still learning and about this. I don't have all my facts right. So yeah, I'll see you later. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.